Hello. Today we will be recounting the events of the Texas annexation. It all begins back in the early 19th century. During this time period, what is now present-day Texas was actually part of northern Mexico and it had a very low population. In an attempt to get the population to go up, the Mexican government began looking towards American settlers. They offered land grants to try and attract American settlers. The Mexican government also required that American settlers convert to the Catholic Church, but this was rarely enforced. As settlers continued to flood into Mexico, the population skyrocketed to levels the Mexican government had not anticipated. The Mexican government soon realized that they didn't want that many people in their land. In an attempt to discourage further settlers from coming into Mexico, the Mexican government abolished slavery, which also served as a two-pronged attack in the political field. American settlers were distressed and outraged by this move from the Mexican government, and the seeds of dissent were sown. The Americans began to question how secure their rights really were, and they attempted to make their voice heard. Effort to subdue American settlers, the Mexican government sent troops under the command of Santa Anna into Texas to keep the peace. However, contact was hostile and the Texans saw this as a declaration to battle, so they refused to give up. The first two places hit by the Mexican army were garrisons in the Alamo and Goliad. This is where the phrase "remember the Alamo" comes from. The defenders of the second garrison, Goliad, were executed before they had a chance to surrender. Under Sam Houston, the rest of the Texans made a strategic retreat to San Jacinto. Santa Anna pursued the Texans, who were willing to give up their lives, but Santa Anna, with his back to the swamps, grew careless and fell to a surprise attack by the rebels. In 1837, Texas was officially recognized as the independent Lone Star Republic. They wanted to become a part of the United States, but the issue heavily divided the nation. Southern states supported annexation because Texas would have been admitted as a slave state. Northern states opposed the annexation for the same reason. Eastern Americans also opposed the very idea of Texas being independent, as they feared that recognizing Texas would bring about hostile conflict with Mexico. In 1844, President Tyler attempted to annex Texas as a matter of national policy, but John C. Calhoun stated that annexation was necessary for the preservation of slavery. This sparked another wave of sectional controversy, and later in the year, a treaty to annex Texas was submitted to Congress. The issue was still clearly divided between the pro-slavery South and the war-fearing North. President Tyler eventually did agree to annex Texas, signing his affirmation 3 days before leaving office. This meant that the next president, President Polk, would not have to deal with such a difficult decision. But it meant that Polk would have to handle the responsibility of war. Despite attempts to maintain peace by both sides, America and Mexico eventually entered into the Mexican-American War in 1846.